You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the relationship engineers, Jim Golnick and Lisette Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to 90 Day Soulmate with Lisette
and Jim.
90 Day Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Day Solutions, where you can get your step-by-step, easy-to-follow, simple plug-and-play plan to take you from where you are to where you want to be in 90 days. Welcome to Drinking Wine with Lisette
and Jim. Oh, what?
So, tonight is wine drinking night here on 90 Day Soulmate. Cheers as we get close to the end of the year. We're celebrating holidays and we talk about the year in general. And something we were talking about tonight was this year's been a good year. It's been a difficult year as we've transitioned through the pandemic and work and stress with people just not able to find workers in some jobs and workers not being able to find work in other areas. So it's a difficult year.
It's a year also for the people learn how handle with few resources. So this is the other part.
So how do you exist? And from a company standpoint, how do you exist and continue on with business, a business that may be growing or having more requirements with fewer people or people who just have decided, you know what, we've been through this pandemic. I am more concerned about hanging out at home with my family now than spending my extra time at the office or at work or at the plant. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want any more overtime. I want to be home.
And maybe create more balance in your life.
It is, but I think part of what it does is if you have a workforce that all says, you know what, we no longer want overtime. In fact, we want to spend more time at home. One thing I read on one of these human resources pages, I think it might have been SHRM, which is Society of Human Resource Management, they were talking about how today's worker will take their personal days that are to be used for personal time off as well as vacation, as well as sick days, and they're going to use it. They're not looking to get paid for those days. If they don't get paid, they don't care. If they do get paid, they care. But they now take the days. They want their vacation time. They want their free time. And, you know, growing up years before this, it was always like, oh, never call out sick. But we had sick days that if we didn't use them, we got paid at the end of the year for them.
Oh,
but
interesting. Yeah.
In today's environment, a lot of people who would get paid for the days they don't use or take off, they still take those days off because having time to get things done, to be with their family, to just relax is as important to today's society as going to work may have been in the past. What does this do when you have a workforce that takes off 10% more time? So 10% may be a large number. Let's not say 10%, but let's just say it's 3 or 4% more time. So now every day, if you have a company that has 100 people, every day there may be 1, 2, 3% more people not coming to work. So that could be 1, 2, or 3 people who don't come to work that 20 years ago would. It then requires you to hire more people to make up for that.
Yeah.
Or to offer more dollars to get people to come in and work more hours. So it is this self-fulfilling thing is that the less hours people work, the more they get paid per hour. Anyway, why we're going off in that tangent and subject was that we're trying to get a better understanding of the world around us, ourselves, the situations we're in. And one of the things that Lisette said to me, or I asked her earlier today, I said, so no one else, I think we were talking and she said something and I took it to be, so you're saying no one else could love me.
No, I don't say that.
No, she didn't. She reiterated and said, no one else can stand you. And I understood what she meant by it. Don't take that as being a negative from Lisette, but it had to do with, and let me go back and say, we cheered each other after that.
Again.
Because it was a matter of understanding. So standing somebody sometimes is understanding them, and once you understand them, you can love them.
That's the point.
So this whole introduction, Drinking Wine, 90-Day Soulmate with Lisette and Jim, whole thing about HR is that as we redefine ourselves in our lives and how we interact with people around us and our families, we learn more about each other.
Yeah.
And I think these last couple of years, because we've spent more time together, more time in the house, now able to get back out, that we've also redefined a little bit about what we want to do with our lives, besides just share information, right? And part of that is enjoying more of our life together, because really, at the end of the day, it really comes down to, can you enjoy or have at least a good time with family, with friends, loved ones?
Yeah, and also when we have a kid at home, we thinking that we need to work in and staying for the kids. And then when the kid leaves the home, so you feel like now is the time for reconnect, like the relationship versus be parents. So now we being couples.
We're a couple. We're a couple of parents who are no longer really parents because the kids are old enough to be on their own. They're, 45, 50 years old, those kids? And finally get them out of the house, you know.
Finally.
Oh my gosh, they're out of the house. But going back to the understanding part, if you feel that you love somebody, but you don't understand them, what did we decide? That if you think, I love them so much, and you say, okay, tell us about them. Well, I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly, but I just love them, and I can't be without them. Okay, so what's their favorite food? What do they like to do? What is their hobby? Well, I'm still working on those things.
But I am so in love.
But I'm so much in love. So we take that as if somebody is unable to separate themselves from another person, and they say, I'm so much in love, like, what is that called? Infatuated. That, love at first sight. This is actually really love at first sight. We talked about this last week a little bit.
Yeah, program
is that we are biologically set up to fall in love with people, what we think is love, based upon sight, smell, shape, pheromones. And if we don't understand them, we don't know if we could be with them long term. And when we talk about love, let's talk about long-term love. Besides initial attraction, which we called lust, and then attraction, where it's beyond lust. You just find everything they are doing is so wonderful, and you start building up this life together. And then later on, there's attachment. Attachment happens when you do finally understand somebody and you still like them.
Yeah, the point for understand is also you can see the all context of the person. And this way you can also forgive some stuff because you understand how the person thinking, acting, and then you be compassion because you understand the person, versus if you don't understand, maybe you become sad or angry or mean because you don't know the other person. Okay, so if you were in a relationship with somebody that had, as a child, been in an all-boys or all-girls school and had certain things drilled into their heads about, quote, the opposite sex, about life in general, about religion, about culture, about anything. If you didn't know that and all you saw were their actions, it would be really difficult to connect with that person. Once you understood their underlying belief systems, what they were taught, values,
how they grew up, values and beliefs, and you said, Now I understand their actions. They may still be somebody that you don't want to be with or someone you want to be with, but at least that gets you to that next level of potentially understanding something you wouldn't, or not being offended by something that you would have been offended if you did not know the rest of the story.
We can share my example with you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so typical Jim, when I bring some idea, immediately he reaction, no.
No, that's not true.
That is not good. Exactly. So I understand that his first reaction is like that. So I wait, I repeat the same idea 2-3 times, I make a wine or coffee, and then he said, you know what, I guess that we can do this. So I know that he have a process for immediately reject the new ideas, but if you convince and you talk and you connect, he have the capacity to recognize and say, okay, that is maybe a good idea, let me do.
So I want to say no to everything that Lizette just said.
Of course.
But
It's a good example.
having had these, but
this but is so strong.
having all these examples of things like this, I realize this is true. Part of it is, and I think a lot of us have this, is that we want to make our own decisions. We want to decide what we're doing. Like, maybe we didn't have control of our life when we were little. Like, you had to do this, you had to do that. You know, anytime you were thinking on your own, you'd hear somebody's voice, like your mom going, Jimmy, Jimmy, Jimmy. Or, you know, your older brother or older sister, or a friend who would just tell you, this is what we're doing, and you felt like you could never make your own decision. And now I have the chance of making my own decision. I'm going to say no. Even though I might want to do what Lizette is saying, I need to decide for myself. And it gives me time and room to make that decision. So no may not be an initially real negative, like I'm not saying, no, your idea is bad. It may be, no, I need more time to process what you're telling me so I can understand what you're saying, so I can decide if what I think you're suggesting is a good idea, and I'll go along with it.
Oh, he said, no, I don't understand. For my accent
What?
or my English?
It could be either, it could be both.
Yeah.
So tonight's show has no real subject other than understanding. And once you understand the subject, you'll know a lot more about the show than we do.
And maybe you start to love us because you understand us.
We wanted to share with you kind of what our conversations are, because we have some really good conversations that never actually make it onto the air. And I just told Lizette, we were upstairs, and I said, that's it. Stop wasting your thoughts and your ideas on a conversation that would be really, really useful, I think, to other people.
Of course.
And I would learn from it as well. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm saying yes to this conversation. It is a very special night. We do have our son coming over with a friend. Our daughters are running off somewhere with their other portions of their families. And it's a wonderful, it is a holiday weekend for those who don't know what weekend it is. We're not going to say what it is because we don't want to date this program. So if this program is airing near any major holiday, that's the holiday we're talking about. We were going to wear special attire that would give away what the holiday was. But then we thought if someone tuned into the show and they saw us wearing that attire, they would just say, oh, it's this type of show. We're not going to listen to it if it was a different time of the year. So what else is there? Oh, we were talking about understanding our children. That was a big one.
That is a big one.
This requires a whole another segment and a whole other segment to discuss. But the gist of it is that we see our children right now being as critical of us and adults as maybe we are of them, but we see them as being more critical than maybe we were when we were their age. And we're wondering, is this just every generation has the same thing? Do they not, like, they are very inclusive in their beliefs, except to people they don't agree with. And then, so they're very accepting of everything except people they don't agree with. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
It's really opposite, but it's true.
So it's a weird thing. And maybe when we were, let's go back to when we were kids. You know, you would disagree with your parents. Maybe they were conservative, maybe they were liberal, whatever these different situations are. But maybe we had less influence from our social group in our daily life. Like there seems to be a hive thought. Like today, kids, and I say kids, you know, let's say 16 to
25,
30. Those kids that are not yet in their families and having to deal with everyday issues of you know, my kid has a cold, they're sick, I have to go to the hospital, I have to work because I have to pay a mortgage, I have insurance money due. That let's talk about kids and young adults. There's a lot more social media than we had. So I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think we had more independent thought. But it might have been independent, but also a little bit of group in our clique or in our friendships. But we didn't have millions of people who would chime in with the same view we had. So reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing.
Yeah, no, so this generation grew up with the feedback from other, also strange people. They reading a value because I hear they spend time in one chat with some topic and go back and forth to type and respond. So this kind of feedback create the belief they have more knowledge because I have access for more information. But see the parents maybe not have the same knowledge.
We may not have the same knowledge, but maybe we have a little bit of a lot of knowledge, and maybe somebody, our children, or somebody has a lot of a specific knowledge. And the challenge is more information actually meaning you're more knowledgeable on a subject? Or does it just mean you have a stronger viewpoint of where you have that information? For instance, once we have a belief, we tend to see and follow more strongly that belief. We have more affinity to people who share that belief. Therefore, we read and talk more about that and that view. Therefore, we get really, 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 really smart and educated in that view, and we shut down all other views. We'll talk more about it when we return to Drinking Wine with Lizette and Jim.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions.
All right, so we're back on 90 Days Soulmate with Lizette
and Jim.
While we're drinking wine, it's not the name of the show. Drinking Wine with Lizette and Jim is what we're doing, but not the name of the show. We're talking about today's, I'll call it, media society.
No,
Youth?
Understand and love. This is the topic.
Well, yes, that's the topic. But we were just talking about before the break, and the break was it was really, really long. From your point of view, it was a few seconds, but from our point of view, it was a little bit long. It's 7 days later now, so we're catching back up on the subject.
We never
We
change.
don't change. We're the same clothes for 7 days, so we have a continuation of the video. All right. So, being serious, the subject is understanding and love, but what we were talking about is information. We were talking about kids today, 16 to 30. We'll just call it a younger generation, some adults, some youth, and how they have access to a lot more information than we did when we were kids. So they can be on the internet, they can be corresponding with 20 friends at the same time. And what that does is it can be a positive thing because they can learn a lot about a lot of things, but it can also have people focus really deeply.
That's a new word for me.
New word, deeply, write it down. Very deeply on a very narrow focus. And in something we discussed last show was how the different chemicals that are released during meeting with people, where it's lust and then attraction and then attachment, that some of the attachment chemicals also are released when you are talking subjects that you have in common with other people, and that you find people that you are like, and you build an attraction to them, and less of attraction to people who are unlike them. So you build these cults, you build these religions, you build these political thought structures in your head that you think that people who agree with you are wonderful and people who don't agree with you are not. Understanding. If you understood what the other person thinks, the person who's not like you, the person who has a different
Thinking different of you.
They have a different thought. You believe in, let's say you believe in not eating meat, and somebody believes in eating meat, and you both think you're right because that's the information you have, that's what you grew up with, that's what you believe, and yet neither of you can see the other person's viewpoint.
Yeah.
Now, we have many different subjects we've been talking about here, but let's just talk about a relationship.
So in the way that you understand better your partner, can be any relationship, your kids,
Okay.
your parents, your sister, brother, you start to love more the people.
So, for me, my sister and I are very different in some of our thoughts, but I actually really respect her because she's a smart person who is very educated, but as well as knows a lot about the world. And because of that, even though her views are different, I have a tendency to listen to her and try to understand her view and go, you know what? Maybe there's something to it. Maybe she's actually right and I'm wrong. Maybe there's that opportunity that I should be saying yes and not no.
Oh, I see. I see.
So
So, I
whether-
need to talk with her before I put some idea so she can sell my idea. I catch it.
But I guess the point of understanding. Let's go back to understanding. So, let's talk about in a relationship. You've been through the lust portion of the relationship. You've gone into the attraction portion of the relationship, and now you want a deeper relationship. What do you need in order to achieve a deeper relationship?
I guess the interesting point is the time that people have for understand others. So in any relationship, I go back to couple or family, the emotion is over on the top and not allowed to you to say, wait, let me understand the situation. And also I use this technique with you, and I don't understand English, so say it again, what did you say?
Yeah.
But maybe I got it, but I just try to calm down the situation to make allow why he answered it this way, why he did this way, versus I jumping in the top with my answer because I am right, I am more strong. And we had the joke before between be right, be happy, and I say I prefer be happy because be right is not important. The important is how you can have connection, understand the view of everybody. One is other or right the other. It's the point that I talked the other day with Alfredo about the objective. So sometimes we have, this is the objective for achieve something, but our emotion, our right, destroy everything for achieve. And a good example in our book, you remember the history when I tried to do my first communion?
Okay. Yes, I do.
So I believe when I was in my course, maybe you can help me to reframe all situation, but I have to make a course in the Catholic Church for have the first communion. And then they show me about the heaven and the hell and God, and put some kind of graphics, and I say, why you say the heaven is at the top and the hell is in the bottom, is the planet is around.
Here's the world.
Yeah.
Here's the earth. Here's hell down here, and here's heavens up here.
Yeah, and then I start
Why?
to make this question when I have maybe 11 or 10 years old, and they be angry with me, and they no pass. So I no pass. Spend 1 year course, and the end of the year say, call my mom and say, no, she no pass. She cannot do the first communion because she's evil girl. She make a lot of question in the class. Okay. And maybe I can be right. Say, why is the plan is around this? And my mama told me, say, what is the target here? Okay, have the first communion. If you keep going pushing, you're not changing the religion.
Okay.
You're not teaching the priest
Right.
and the nun about your belief. Your goal is doing that. Do it. So, and the next time I understand the religion has some belief, and I respect. They believe that the heaven is in the top and the hell is in the bottom, and I respect that. I'm not fighting with the person trying to demonstrate they am right. They are their own belief. I have mine. My goal in this moment is take up my certificate. They can have my first communion, and I did. So that is the way how is understand and respect the view of other, and not try to broken. Because it's more satisfaction demonstrate I am right based upon that I don't have my
So
certificate.
Look for information, and this may be how sometimes we approach things, is do you look for information to support the view that's different from yours, or do you look for information that says why that view is negative? So if the first thing you do is try to disprove that view you dislike, you're going to find proof to disprove it. But if you say, you know what, let me try to find information that supports their point of view. Let me find information that is not what I would typically look for, and let me see if I can understand why they have that point of view. Not prove to them why they're wrong, and here's more information that shows why you're wrong, because they'll just say, here's information that shows why I'm right.
And also in this moment is because you become the consulting to the Catholic Church. No, so you don't have to bring nothing because you don't want to change the mind of one priest. That is not the target.
Well, demons.
But my own target is, okay, I learned that. I start to understand because I have 10 years old. Then maybe some theory and the religion not apply for my belief. But I respect, I follow because my family is from Catholic Church, for Catholic religion. And we follow some kind of basic step based upon that we know full belief in the religion.
Okay. And so the question I have, and we've talked about this before, if religions try to give people a common view, and let's say an unquestioned common view, that give people ways of living their life in harmony with each other. Yes, maybe not with other religions, but with each other. So you have a small group, a small village that share a religion. And we talked about this again, about the affinity of common belief. That when you have people who believe what you believe, rather than try to disprove, but you say, you know what, I'm going to believe this, I'm going to agree, soccer's better than football, baseball's better than golf, whatever it is, this is what I believe, that if you find yourself in some spot with people who have that common view, you feel closer. And so there's a positive about it. There's a real danger in it as well.
It's so positive because it's the way that I say it's better that you believe something and you don't believe anything.
If you don't believe in the legality of law, this law that says you can't speed, this one that says you can't steal, and you say, those are just human constructs put on this place, but that's, we're just animals and we don't need those laws and I don't believe them. Well, you're going to have a real difficult time in this world. You might do whatever you want and feel free until somebody stops you. And I guess that's part of it, is that any you go to school, you can follow their rules and learn something, or you can say, I just want to do what I want to do, and you never do the learning, and then 20 years later you find out that all these basic things you could have learned, you didn't, and now you're having a hard time adjusting to, quote, the real world.
Yeah, yeah. So you need to handle the different view, different law, different city, state regulation, and then if you wanna do some transaction in this place, you have to follow the rule.
So I remember the first time I was in Italy years and years and years and years ago. I was in Milan. That's where the airport was, and I went downtown to the city. I had this tiny little apartment, hotel room, overlooking the town square, and it was really small. But I'm in Italy, and this is, people are used to smaller apartments, smaller hotel rooms. You basically have to close your suitcase in order to get into your bed, because if you open your suitcase, it blocks, it's just taking up too much of your room. So I remember walking the street and seeing one of the government buildings, and they're the military police outside, and they've got their guns. And they're, I don't know if they're, semi-automatic, multi-round guns, but they're scary looking people. And I could say, you know what? I'm from America, and freedom is that I can say anything I want to the government, and I'm protected by the Bill of Rights and my freedom of speech, and I can do that. You know what? You're in Italy. Darn it. They don't care. Be careful. So you walk, you're quiet. If someone says, move over there, you say, yes, sir. Or si. Senor. And you follow the local customs. What do they say? When in Rome, do what the Romans do.
Yeah.
So why?
It's the way that you survive.
You survive. That's right. You survive.
Yeah.
Sometimes as Americans, we have so many freedoms that we feel we don't have to play by the rules, because we can object. We can do what we want. And there's nothing they can do because I'm free. You try that in a different country, and that freedom goes away.
In my country, it's so freedom. Maybe this is other topic.
You're free to be in jail, is what you're free.
Exactly. So,
and we actually did talk about that a little bit. Like, you look at like in the U.S., we have what we call mavericks, people who they make their own decisions, they do what they want, they say what they want, they say lies, they say truths, somebody else supports them, someone else doesn't, you don't know who, based upon media and politics and religion. Sometimes there's so many different things, so many diverging views, people are upset, that you should believe this way because this is the way that's right. And what has made the U.S. great in a way is how freedom has allowed us to be angry with each other. There's a certain amount of power in freedom, and there's a certain amount of how scary the United States may be to some other countries, because they're like, there are 200 million people with 700 million guns in the U.S., where other countries are, guns are illegal, and they're, we're much more comfortable here. But the point may be is you may be safer, there may be less violence, but there is more control in many of those countries by the government. We were talking about Japan, talking about China, talk about Iran. They're all different, but they have certain controls, certain politics, certain military, certain rules that have to be followed. And they may be, if you speak out against the Chinese government, that is a bad thing to do. You can't do the protest. Iran, I think there's a soccer player right now who stood up for women's rights and is sentenced to death in Iran for speaking up about women's rights. And yet, in the U.S., you can speak up for women's rights. You can say you're against women's rights. You can do what you want, and there's the freedom to say what you want. There's the freedom to make a fool of yourself, and there's the freedom to get a whole bunch of followers on Twitter.
That we don't have.
But who knows? If we're really controversial, maybe we'll get more followers.
So you maybe have more than me.
Thinking I'm controversial. No. I'm not controversial. But to see how controversial we can get, we'll be back after this message with a little bit more from Drinking Wine. Done drinking wine with Lizette.
And Jim.
See you soon.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions.
3 things I wanted to talk about were evolution, revolution, and individualism. Number 1, evolution. Evolution allowed, and I'll call it about, I can't even say it, evolutionary survival required that small groups of people work together for a common outcome despite their differences, or that small group of common people or people who were trying to survive had a lot of similarities in their goal of survival. So 1 is a common goal, right? So a common goal allowed people to survive. So let's put common goal is a good thing because it helps you understand the motivation of other people. If you have that goal, they have that goal, we're all motivated to get to that goal. We may have different ways of getting there. Let me hear your way of getting there. Right? So evolution really drove us to figure out stuff together, even if we had different views of how to get there. The main thing was, the ultimate thing was, we want the same goal. I've always said this about politics. I wish presidential candidates or candidates would say, this is my vision for America. This is my vision for whatever the population is, wherever you are, that we're going to have less pollution, and this is how we're going to do it. We want people to be closer together. We want to respect. These are my vision and mission statements as my candidacy. Not, that guy's corrupt. Oh, they're cheating on their taxes. Oh, they've got a house in... It's like there hasn't been a good visionary leader that has drawn the hearts and souls of the population in a long time. It's been parties fighting against parties.
But they know how the human being movement. So emotion put this and the people follow. So if you start to do, I don't want more pollution, I'm so worried, come on.
So don't be boring if you want someone to follow you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's true, is that emotional subjects push people to action where common sense
Never.
subjects, oh, well, that's common sense. It doesn't make me angry. It doesn't make me happy. I have no reason, right? I don't have that fight or flight. I want to run away from this. I want to run towards that. I want to fight this. That if you don't have an emotion moving you, you just tend to not do anything. So, but that was the evolutionary piece of this, is that we can do things together when we have the same goal in mind. And if we look at that as a couple, if I want to, work with my wife on something, I can work on the understanding of Lizette, and she can work on the understanding of me. I think it's easier when you have a common goal. The goal, okay, our goal is we want to stay married. The goal is we want to retire. Yes, really. I think we wrote it down here.
Drinking wine.
Common goals. But it was a lot less complex. Today we have so many things to think about, that there used to be just, where are we going to get food for tomorrow? Like, that was it. Every day it was survival. And now we have all this time to do stupid things on the internet. We have listened to people on their talk shows.
Like that.
Right? Just talk to people. It's crazy.
What's the point that we don't make money, but we do it?
But it's fun. Why not? Who cares, right?
Exactly.
Who cares if you have fun? The second piece of this that I want to talk about, the revolution. So the United States, and I don't want to make this a U.S. thing, but part of it has to do with revolution. Revolution was that there was an underlying belief of the people to fight back against Britain, to fight back and take control of their own country, and to fight against, to have revolution. So revolution became an inborn trait of people, say, culturally in the United States years ago, to revolt against. And maybe that's something we see, is that we see our kids revolting against us. Maybe this is true all around the world, but certain countries, it's much more easy to revolt. In other countries, it's more difficult because you wouldn't dare revolt in some countries because that would be the end. And in some countries where you have the freedom to revolt, or at least make your views known.
And also, one of the stuff that I learned for revolution is in my own country was using for moving people, but a not necessary revolution mean is improve.
Ah.
Okay, because you can have a big revolution, politic movement that destroy your country.
So,
like that we have in Venezuela.
So if you're revolving, right, revolution, revolve, you start here, you revolve, you have all this revolution, you end up back where you started.
Yeah, revolution is no evolution.
It's not. Is that what you said? It's not evolution.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Revolution is not evolution. You may just end up back with the same thing, but just someone different in charge. We didn't like them in charge. Now we've got this person we don't like in charge.
So you can change everything and destroy, or you can change everything and improve, but revolution no is necessary.
Oh, I like that. So revolution may not get you to a new place, but evolution does.
Yeah.
Because it's survival of the fittest. And as long as what is causing that survival is something that brings out the best in that group, you as a couple, that you evolve as a couple. Imagine if Lizette and I had a revolution against each other. It's not good. But if we evolved, our relationship evolves. Right?
Yeah.
So we have a new relationship that's even better than it was before. How about that?
Try.
And then finally, let's talk about individualism. Part of the greatness of a society is the allowing people to be individuals, rising up to the level that they can achieve in, and I want to use the word greatness, but let's call it self-actualization or education or career, whatever that would be, is that if individuals can prosper, say what they want, do what they want, research what they want, work where they want, and they have that individualism, and that is a looked up to trait in a population, then there's two things that happen. One is you can have all this random achievement of greatness that brings society to a new level, but individualism also creates argument. That the more free we are to have our own thoughts, the more likely we will have argument. So the biggest arguing cultures sometimes are the ones that are the most free. The ones that are least free have a really hard time arguing. So individualism, which can create new things, new ideas, independent thought, also may, the strength of that may also make people angry with each other. So maybe that's one of the reasons we always think that we have so many, fights in politics or culture or religion or just, what people believe. So, how do people understand more? How do people understand each other better? How do we understand differences better?
So the recommendation is try to understand that people is different.
That understand that people are different.
And respect the difference of the people.
So maybe understand actually that person who is different may have knowledge you don't, and it may actually be very valuable knowledge. So not to only look at their personality or their religion or their ethnicity or any of that, but look at the whole person and appreciate the differences, because in those differences, and this is where diversity I think is really powerful, is that diversity is best when we can each appreciate the differences that create more knowledge, more solutions.
And also, I think the best reaction maybe can be a practice for everyone, because when you see somebody different of you, your first reaction typically is reject. So try to change reject for be curious. So why these people is different view of me in some topic? And so you become curious for the point. You be interested and understand others versus the reject and move the hand like the people talk the head. But in my mind say no, it's wrong, and not listen. If you change your attitude, say okay, let me learn why is your view, what is your different view on the topic, and you understand better.
So what I found is that individuals sometimes can get along with individuals, but as soon as those individuals associate with a group, then they start to have differences. And what I mean by that is I know people that maybe, I'll just say, from a standpoint of conservative, liberal politics or just beliefs, are different individuals. And yet I can talk with them about a subject and we can actually agree on a lot of stuff if we are both open to listening to each other. But I also hear people who just spout talking points. They really aren't thinking for themselves. They just associate with a group, and I hear another person associate with a group, and they just yell back and forth talking points, and they don't actually say, hey, are we here for the same goal? Is the goal this? It's just, these are my talking points. And I have a long...
Yeah, so the goal right now is drink and wine and say maybe goodbye.
Not yet. We've got plenty of time.
Okay.
We've got
so when I say that is because I remember some kind of party when you have a lot of people talking politics.
Yeah.
And you are in the party, come on. So in this moment you try to change the topic to say, okay, you don't want to drinking something else. So.
Yeah. I do, but that's when people are so caught up in being different in politics rather than... I talked to somebody years ago about this, which is sometimes politics can be two posts that are this far apart, but yet between the two posts are a hammock, the hammock that supports. And we need somebody who says, we need to support all people and we need everybody to be taken care of. And we need somebody else to say, we need people to be responsible for themselves. We need people to work hard. And we need both viewpoints in order to build a strong net that carries people and the country to wherever that, it's like building a boat. It's building a net that supports the people. And it's when you understand that these differences allow all these ideas between those two, if you want to call them extremes. I've been to other countries where they laugh at us and they go, oh, you Democrats and you Republicans, you think you're like so different, yet you guys are all capitalists. And that's a viewpoint that some people have, is that we think we're so different, but yet we're actually really the same. And that's the point, is that these differences are all fake. We're all human. We all just survived on this planet. The great ape, the great hairless ape has survived. And we think we're so different, but really it comes down to survival. What do we need to do to survive? And what we need to do is understand each other and love one another. Right?
That's true.
Wouldn't it be great if you just found somebody you disagreed with and you say, you know what? We disagree on so many things, but let's just lift a glass, have a toast, and say, you know what? It's great that we can disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the expression, agree to disagree. I want to disagree to disagree, but still enjoy my time with you. Because I always say no.
Yes, of course.
So, two last points as we close our show for today is allow the other's point of view to possibly, just possibly, be correct. Like maybe they're right and maybe you have something to learn from them. And then the third point is maybe instead of saying why they're wrong, research why they could be right. Go tell me about why you believe this. Tell me what I could read, what I could look at. Tell me who you listen to, because I'd like to understand your point of view.
Be curious.
Be curious.
Be curious with the other person.
Be curious, but don't be hesitant, because curiosity didn't kill the cat. It was being hesitant, stopping, and then whatever happens when you don't move. You got to keep moving. Be curious. Create some understanding.
Understand others and agree with the difference of others.
And enjoy your holiday, whatever holiday it happens to be when you catch this show. We enjoyed tonight's show on understanding, and hope you did. And we'll catch you back here on Drinking Wine with Lizette
and Jim.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions.
You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the Relationship Engineers, Jim Golnick and Lisette Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.